Good day, grade 7 learners! I'm Mom Diane, and welcome to another week of exploring the world of literature. To start, feel the presence of our Lord Jesus Christ.
Let us pray the prayer to the Holy Mother of God. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners now and at the hour of our death. Amen.
Last week we discussed Quarter 3, Module 3. We explored the world of literature. Not only view it as an art form, but see also how selection may be influenced by culture, history, and environment. At the end of the discussion, you were asked to complete all your Quarter 3, Module 3 tasks. Before we check your Quarter 3, Module 3 tasks, let us first recap what we have discussed last week. How selection can be influenced by several factors such as culture, history, and environment.
Don't you know that stories, selections, articles, and the likes are the results of various influences such as history, culture, environment, social, economic, and spiritual aspects of people's life? Our country is rich in various stories that pass on from one generation to another generation, whether in written or oral form. It is a way of our ancestors to preserve the most significant events happened during that time and to keep our cultural heritage and traditions alive from pre-Hispanic up to today's generation. Some literature can be found on books and some are embedded on our family values. Since I mentioned literature, literature is a collection of written works from the creative imagination and minds of the author or writer. It is divided into two genres, which are fiction and nonfiction. Literature can also be written in prose or in poetry form. The literature that we have in our country is called Philippine Literature. It mirrors the past and the life of the Filipinos from prehistory through its colonial legacies and on to the present. We have various literary pieces to choose from, but today I will present to you some masterpieces of our famous Filipino writers to show how a selection may be influenced by history, culture, and other factors. Let's begin with the story of the New Yorker in Tondo. It depicts environmental influence as it is about a girl named Kikay who grew in Tondo and went to New York for a year. The impact of the setting to the character was she changed everything about her. The way she dressed, talked, and mingled with others. She even tried to change everything about her mother. The setting, by the way, is an element that where and when the story takes place. The author of the story, who is Marcelino Agana Jr., is a playwright in 1958 who wrote popular Filipino comedies that have been produced many times through the years. His styles of writing describes the differences of living into different environment and how it affects people. Environmental influence pertains to the circumstance, object, or condition by which one is surrounded. Aggregate of social and cultural conditions that influence the life of an individual or community. The environment can influence people's behavior, mood, and motivation to act, just like what the character of Kikay portrays. On the other hand, another factor that may influence a selection is culture. Culture influence demonstrated through human behavior, vocabulary, language used, human emotions or perspectives, and material items. Let's take a look at the story entitled How My Brother Leon Brought Home a Wife. We can see cultural influence in various instances in the story. It is a story of a man introducing his city-born wife to his more provincial family. The main idea is Maria is being tested with Leon's family, especially his father, if she will be able to live a simple life in province away from the city. Manuel E. Arguila is the one who wrote the story. Most of his stories depicts life in Barrio Nagrepcan in Bawang La Union where he was born. The culture he had in the province influences his works. His bond with his birthplace remains strong even after moving to the city. Maria, who is the character of the story, really adjusts her city life to provincial life. Our culture tells us that living in the city is far better than living in the provincial area. The perception of Leon's family during the test was she can't make it. But Maria proved them wrong. Since Maria truly loves Leon, she willingly sacrificed her city life just to be with her love of her life. On the other way around, history also gives a great influence in our literature. History is a branch of knowledge that records and explains past events or what happened in life or development of a people, country, or institutions. It is connected of studying or representing things of what was happened in the past. In the story of March of Death, historical and cultural influence is eminent, as it expresses the suffering of many Filipino in Bataan Death March by the time of Japanese occupation. The author, who is Bienvenida and Santos, a scholar of Philippine Commonwealth government when war in the Pacific came to the Philippines. Because of the war, he feared he would never see his family again. That experience leads him to a transformation of his sense of national consciousness and identity. Crisis changed the nature of his writing into a less carefree to one a mixing of laughter and pain. As to the relevance of the poem to the Filipino youths today, we are facing a battle which our enemy is unseen. The lines of the poem tells you to have a strength in your heart and hopefulness that there's still a brighter future and tomorrow if you believe and continue to fight and learn from the struggles of life. Another aspect that may influence one's selection is economic. Economic influence is giving good value or return in relation to the money, time, or effort expended. One of the stories that illustrates economic influence is My Father Goes to Court by Carlos Bulosan. In this story, the rich family and the poor family are having conflict with each other. The rich man was very selfish and does not want to socialize with the poor people in the community. So he ended up being sick because he only cares about was his wealth and money. Carlos Bulosan effectively presented the economic influence in his story because it was during his youth when he and his family economically impoverished by rich and political elite, which became one of main themes of his writing. Are you familiar with the famous corrido entitled Ibong Adarna? This literary piece depicts not just historical and cultural influence, but also a spiritual and religious influence. It was written during the Spanish era, which is part of our history. As part of Filipino traits and culture, being respectful and obedient was shown in some instances of the story, when Don Diego always followed what Don Pedro said. Moreover, it illustrates religious influence since it's a corrido and the mention of God is evident all throughout the entire piece. It signifies and illustrates that some of our ancestors really believed in nature and animals as their God before Christianity was brought in here in our country by the Spanish colonizers. Authors or writers create stories in fiction or nonfiction for us to tell something or to impart messages and lessons. The literary selections that we are reading today is like our bridge to the past for us to take a glimpse of their life and development. There is a quote saying that If you want to understand the present, you need to learn and understand the past. History and stories will always repeat itself if we will never learn or understand. These literatures pass on from generation to generation to keep, protect, and preserve our identities.
Well done, class, in learning that the writings in our Philippine literature are not just merely from the word of mouth or hearsay of generations of writers. It is created by the people who are influenced by culture, history, and environment. So now let us check your activities in your quarter 3 module 3. For your pre-assessment, you are asked to look for the meaning in the word in column E with that in column B. So the words here are vague, folklore, onslaught, robust, culture, pliant, language, eminent, moro-moro, and insurmountable. So let's begin. Traditional custom, tales, sayings, dances, or platforms preserved among people. What is the answer? So again, everybody, kindly bring out your notebook and check your notebook. That is folklore. Next, number 2. So folklore, also known as traditional legends, wisdom of our elders or proverbs, and urban myths. Now, it is also included under folklore. Next, letter B, yielding to others, also known as being flexible or workable. Now, it is opposite of being inflexible, of course, or stiff. That is pliant. Pliant means yielding to others. Letter C, blank or komedya, a folk drama based on the battles between Christians and the Muslim Moros in the Philippines, or stories about the battles between Christians and Muslim Moros. Letter C is number 9, moro-moro. Next, letter D, famous and respected. That would be eminent, also known as important, distinguished, respected, or celebrated. Reputed also, no? Next one, letter E, not clearly expressed. So not clear or unclear, that is vague. No, unclear, imprecise, or indefinite. It is opposite of clear or definite. Next one, letter F. A system of communication used by a particular country or community. Also known as lingo, vernacular, or dialect. That is language. Language includes etymology, phonology, morphology, semantic, and grammar and syntax. That is language. Next one. Exhibiting health. That is robust. Showing vigor, strength, or being tough. It is the opposite of being, of course, weak. Robust. Next, the customary beliefs, social forms, and material traits of a racial, religious, or social group. What do we call that? That is culture, It also includes the values, principles, beliefs of a nation or group of people. Next, letter I, unconquerable. Unconquerable, that is insurmountable, number 10. Also known as undefeatable or unbeatable. It is opposite with easy, insurmountable or unconquerable. Next, last one, letter J, an especially fierce attack. Of course, that is onslaught. Number 3. Now, other words for it are assault and ambush. Okay, so before we check your other tasks or comprehension questions in your Module 3, let us first recap the story, Pliant Like a Bamboo by Ismael Malyari, through this video by Meryl Bundock.
There is a story in Philippine folklore about a mango tree and a bamboo tree, not being able to agree as to which was strongest of the two. They called upon the wind to make the decision. The winds blew its hardest. The mango tree stood fast. It would not yield. It knew it was strong and sturdy. It would not sway. It was too proud. It was too sure of itself. But finally, its root gave way, and it tumbled down. The bamboo tree was wiser. It knew it was not as robust as the mango tree, and so every time the wind blew, it bent its head gracefully. It made loud protest, but it let the winds have its way. When finally the wind got tired of blowing, the bamboo tree still stood in all its beauty and grace. The Filipino is like the bamboo. He knows that he is not strong enough to withstand the onslaught of superior forces, and so he yields. He bends his head gracefully with many loud protests. And he has survived. The Spaniards came and dominated him for more than 300 years, and when the Spaniards left, the Filipinos still stood, only much richer in experience and culture. The Americans took the place of the Spaniards. They used more subtle means of winning over the Filipinos, who embraced the American way of life more readily than the Spaniards' vague promise of the hereafter. Then the Japanese came like a storm, like a plague of locusts,
Like a pestilence,
rude,
relentless,
and cruel. The Filipino learned to bow his head low to cooperate with the Japanese in their holy mission of establishing the co-prosperity sphere. The Filipino had only hate the contempt for the Japanese, but he learned to smile sweetly at them and to thank them graciously for their benevolence and magnanimity. And now, the Americans have come back and driven away the Japanese. Those Filipinos who profited most from cooperating with the Japanese have been loudest in their protestations of innocence. Everything is as if the Japanese had never been in the Philippines. For the Filipino will welcome any kind of life that the gods offer him. That is why he is contented, happy, and at peace. The sad plight of other peoples of the world is not his. To him, as to that ancient Oriental poet, the past is already a dream, and tomorrow is only a vision, but today, well lived, makes every yesterday a dream of happiness and every tomorrow a vision of hope. The Filipino is eminently suited to his romantic role. He is slender and wiry. He is nimble and graceful in his movements. His voice is soft. He has the gift of languages. In what other place in the world can you find people who can carry a fluent conversation in at least 3 languages? This gift is another means by which the Filipino has managed to survive. There is no insurmountable barrier between him and any of the people who have come to live with him, Spanish, Americans, Japanese. The foreigners do not have to learn his language. He easily manages to master theirs. Verily, the Filipino is like the bamboo tree in its grace, in its ability to adjust itself to the peculiar and inexplicable whims of fate. The bamboo tree is his expressive and symbolic national tree. It will have to be not the Molave nor the Nara, but the bamboo.
Not the Molave, nor the Nara, no, but the bamboo. Na? Okay, so again, you are asked to answer the following comprehension questions in your English notebook, and you are to send me a photo of your answers on the following comprehension questions. Na? So number 1, what two trees are compared in the essay? Again, answer these questions in complete sentences. Begin your sentence with a capital letter and end it with a period. Na? So again, for example, this sentence, how are we going to answer this one? Of course, na? So we begin with the topic na, and then the answer. So the two trees compared in the essay are, so what are the two trees? Next, number 2, to which tree is Filipino likened? So to what tree is Filipino likened among the trees mentioned in the story, and why? Why was the Filipino compared to that tree? Number 3, what makes the Filipino confident that he can survive difficulties in life? No, so how sure are we that we can surpass the difficulties in our lives? No? Like for example, right now that we are having the pandemic, no? How are we able to surpass all these trials that we are having right now? Now, why do you think the author used the title Pliant Like a Bamboo? So why is the selection entitled Pliant Like a Bamboo? Do you believe that the Filipinos have the capacity to survive foreign dominations and adjust to the most different situations? Na? So just like in the photo, na? There was that you have seen earlier, there was a typhoon and flood, but in the photo you have seen that Filipinos are able to smile na amidst the difficulties in life. How are we able to survive or find peace and happiness despite the difficulties that we Filipinos experience in our life? And last one, why can the Filipinos afford to laugh? Yan. Despite the country's many problems, explain your answer. So send me a photo of that one answered in your English notebook. For your application, you were asked to write your insight about the statement currently given by our DOST secretary during this pandemic. Now, so you are asked to express your insight showing rubrics. Now, these rubrics, now critical thinking, personal reflection, and surface features, 5 point each na. So again, critical thinking, your paragraph shows rich content. It is insightful. It shows insightful analysis, synthesis, and evaluation. Clear connection made to real life situations or to previous content. So you're going to explain the statement, connecting it to real life situations. Na? Next, personal reflection. Your entries are high quality, consisting of personal reflections that connect between real life learning and reading. And last rubric is surface feature. Na? Your paragraph or composition is free from grammatical or stylistic errors. Na? So, what was the statement given to us? To give your critical thinking, surface feature, and personal reflection. So this is the statement by the DOST Secretary. Filipinos' natural resiliency and creativity are greater amidst this pandemic. So what does it mean? Filipinos' natural resiliency. What do you mean by resiliency and creativity? How are Filipinos resilient and creative? And how does resiliency and creativity make Filipinos great amidst this pandemic that we are experiencing right now? No? Amidst connecting to the things that we have experienced in the past also. No? Okay, so again, 5 points each rubric, so that's a total of 15 points. For your evaluation, you are asked to answer the following questions based on what you have read in the story. So this is a total of 10 points, and the Google form link was also sent last week. Now, I hope you are able to answer that already. So let's analyze the correct answer to the following questions. So number 1, who is the author of the essay Pliant Like a Bamboo? Which one is the correct answer here? Okay, letter A, Ivy Malyari. Next, number 2, what are the trees being compared in the story? That would be mango tree and bamboo tree. Next, number 3, Philippines had been dominated by blank for more than 300 years. So among the countries who have dominated our country, who have dominated our country for more than 300 years? Imagine that, class, no? Almost 4 times of your lifetime, no? Or more than, no? That would be Spaniards. Next, in the essay, blank came like a storm, like a plague of locusts, like pestilence, rude and cruel. Who dominated our country wherein they are rude and cruel? The Japanese. Next, number 5, Filipinos have saying. Okay, so saying, we called it proverb or salawikain or kasabihan. Life is like a blank. We are sometimes on top and we are sometimes at the bottom. That would be wheel. So this one is called a metaphor, comparing life to that of the wheel, that sometimes our life experiences ups and sometimes our life also experiences down. But what does it mean? What does our elders try to tell us with that saying? That life must go on. Even if sometimes we feel sad, don't worry, tomorrow is another day. Have faith, be strong, and look forward to your life. Okay, class? Next, number 6. This word refers to the customs, arts, social institutions, and achievements of a particular nation, people, or other social group. What is that word? Of course, that is culture. Next, number 7. This is the transmission of customs or beliefs from generation to generation, or the fact of being passed on in this way. Actually, that is cultural tradition. So that would be letter A. Next, number 8. It is the what we call the study of past events, particularly in human affairs. The whole series of past events connected with someone or something. So what is it? That is history. The study of past events. It is known as the natural world as a whole or in a particular geographical area. The surroundings or conditions in which a person, animal, or plant lives or operates. That would be, of course, that's environment. Good job, everyone. Next, number 10. This typically means to affect or change someone or something in an indirect but usually important way. That is influence. Yes, all of us experience this one. When we change because somebody have affected us or something affected us, it meant that we were influenced by that factor. And as what we have said, our selections or literature can be affected or influenced by a lot of factors, such as history, culture, and tradition. So that's it. Those are your activities for your quarter 3, module 3. So this time, you're going to check me. Send me your outputs with your total scores. Now, check outputs with your total scores. Now, let's proceed with your quarter 3, module 4. In your quarter 3, module 4, we are going to express belief or conviction based on viewing materials. As what I've mentioned earlier, Today, we are going to identify the distinguishing features of the different genres of viewing and genres of literature. No? Also help you express your ideas, beliefs, or convictions based on particular material viewed. Na? So after going through this module, you are expected to express one's belief or conviction based on material viewed, determine the key message conveyed in the material viewed, and make a stand on the material viewed. Okay, for your pre-assessment, you are asked to choose the letter of the best answer. So all of this are asking what type of viewing genre or literature genre. Na? So you are to answer this one in your English notebook first, and then later on I'll be sending to you your Google link or Google form link. Okay, so now let's proceed with your module 4. Na? So we live in a ever-connected world where every information can be shared in less than 1 second. Na? Expressing idea is a serious matter, and most of us is so scared to have the wrong opinion that we prefer not to answer rather than express our thoughts. Na? But being able to state your own thought is necessary step. We cannot really say we are really grown up if or until we have the confidence to publicly state and defend our ideas. Some people seem to never do the required step. They prefer to keep their mouth closed to let others decide for them, but that is not the right approach. Na? According to Sir Ralph Waldo Emerson, to be yourself in a world that is constantly trying to make you something else is the greatest accomplishment. No? Therefore, we should look forward to take our own decisions. We are the only masters of our lives, and thus, defining what is good for us should be one of our primary concerns. No? So therefore, it's important to express one's ideas, beliefs, or convictions. And in doing so, we may be able to influence others in the future. They might get some lessons with you or they might ignore you, but it's okay, na? Most important thing that you do is you express yourself rather than say nothing, na? Being true to yourself is sometimes what we need in order to learn lesson from our lives, na? But I want you to remember also that not only any of us has the right to have his own beliefs or conditions upon every subject, but also we must always express it in the right way. Na? May mga tamang paraan na dapat nating isipin din kung paano natin i-express ang ating beliefs and convictions. And in doing so, we can experience its many advantages such as have better self-understanding, building more self-confidence, learn to broaden your mind, to name a few. Na? So again, in expressing our beliefs and conviction, we may influence or be condemned by others in just saying a word. Na? But it's important still to be able to learn to express ourselves. Na? So, in this first activity, na, it's entitled Complete These. So, in any way you want, na, you're going to complete the puzzle. Na? It's like completing a puzzle na, through your artistic side. So, this time around, I want you to draw. Okay? So, you can draw either in your English notebook or in a kapanban. Now, whichever you are more comfortable in drawing. Na? So, you're going to draw the next scenario in this comics, Who Can, You Can by J.P. Covert. Na? So, let's see the situations or the scenarios. First scenario in here, so what do we see? Okay, so there's a dog taking books out from piles of boxes. Na? Next photo, there's a girl carrying books. Okay, and then the next photo, the same dog from the first photo is putting books onto bookshelves. Fourth photo, the dog and the girl are sweeping the floor. And now in the last photo, so you're going to draw your own opinion, draw your own conviction or belief. What do you think is the next scenario of this photo or of this comics entitled Who Can, You Can by J.P. Couvert? Class, you do not need to draw all of these photos now. You're going to draw only the last photo. What do you think is the next scenario? Okay, so again, you're going to send me a photo of your drawing entitled Complete D. Okay, so this one under Let's Explore, na? So since we have been discussing about genre, and genre is not new to you anymore, na? Again, it means a category of any artistic composition characterized by similarities or difference in form, style, or subject matter. And we had discussed already genres of viewing from our first quarter topic, na? So again, they are trailer, news flash, internet-based program, documentary, and weather report. Na? So let's recap them through this video clip.
The genres of viewing. We are all aware that the 21st century learners like you are more interested in visuals and digital media. In this session, you will learn viewing as the fifth macro skill in learning the English language, especially in identifying the genre of a material you will view in different media platforms. First, let's define viewing. Viewing refers to perceiving, examining, interpreting, and construction of meaning from visual images that will help you improve your comprehension on print and non-print materials. This is one great skill to master as you are exposed to multimedia. It helps us increase our skills in media literacy. In addition to that, viewing helps us to understand the message by classifying the purpose and type of information presented. That process of classification is called genres of viewing. If you are ready to listen, we will talk about the 6 different genres of viewing. Let's start with documentary. It is a genre of viewing that is based on research. It is a report which presents an issue that is supported by research evidence. Usually, it is lengthy, but it gives the viewers a deeper view of current issues. Some examples of documentaries in the Philippines are Eyewitness, G Diaries, Kapusimo Jessica Saw, and Investigador. And my top favorite documentaries in Netflix are Dark Tourist, The Social Dilemma, and Unsolved Mysteries. Another genre is internet-based program. It is a genre of viewing which provides the viewers with informative shows that can be accessed through websites using internet connection. Examples of this genre are Netflix, iWant TV, YouTube Originals, and many more internet-based programs. Next, we have movie clips and movie trailers. These may seem to be alike, but they function differently. Movie clip is a scene from a movie which shows a moral lesson or a way to reveal secret, confrontation, or solution to a problem. While movie trailer is a series of selected shots from an upcoming movie to attract the viewers to wait and watch through television or internet. It is usually short to avoid spoilers. Another genre is the news flash. It is a quick report that is given in the middle of an ongoing program because of its important content. Last, we have weather report. It is a genre of viewing which is part of an entire news program that updates and foretells weather conditions on a specific area. To sum up our session today, let's have a quick review of the different genres of viewing. These are documentary, internet-based program, movie clip, movie trailer, news flash, and weather report. You now have a wide knowledge about viewing and its genres.
Those are the different genres of viewing materials. Na? So now let's proceed with the different literary genres. Na? Literary genre is a style of writing. The word genre means artistic category or style. You can also talk about movie genre because it goes hand in hand. Na? So anything that is put into writing can be made into a movie also, no? So that they go hand in hand. No? There are two major categories or genres. There are two major literary genres, and these are fiction and nonfiction. Fiction is a narrative literary works whose content is produced by imagination and is not necessarily based on fact. So let's have examples of fiction. Again, a fiction is a narrative literary work produced by the imagination, not necessarily based on fact. So first off is the drama. These are stories composed in verse or prose, usually for theatrical performance, where conflicts and emotion are expressed through dialogue and action. Examples of famous Philippine drama are Sarsuela, Cenaculo. In television, we have Mara Clara, Pangako Sa'yo, etc. Next is fable. Fable is a narration demonstrating a useful truth, especially in which animals speak as humans, legendary, supernatural tale. So famous fable, the Philippine fables are the ant and the grasshopper, the monkey who wanted to swim, and so forth. Fairy tale. These are stories about fairies or other mythical or magical creatures, usually for children. Famous fairy tales are the story of Dumalawi, Lumawig on Earth. In television, we have Okay Ka Fairy Ko, Encantadia, and the like. Next are fantasy. Fantasy are fiction with strange or other worldly settings or characters. Fiction which invites suspension of reality. Examples of this in Philippine literature are The Monkey and the Turtle by Dr. Jose Rizal, Ibong Adarna, the stories of Diwata, Duwende, and the like. Next one is folklore. Folklore are literature that can be made into a song or songs, stories, myths, and proverbs of people or folk as handed down by word of mouth. So also known as kwentong bayan. Famous under here are mga kwento ni Lola Basyang, story of Lazy John or ni Juan Tamad. Historical fiction. These are stories with fictional characters and events in a historical setting. Examples under here are Noli Me Tangere, Florante at Laura, ang storya ng Poon or God, Ilustrado, Dekada 60 by Luwalhati Bautista, showing what is the setting during the 1970s. Next is horror. These are fiction in which events evoke feeling of dread in both the characters and the reader. So famous Philippine literatures that are under horror are The House of Spirits. In television, we have Shake, Rattle, and Roll, Okatokat, the stories of Balete Drive, ang mga kwento tungkol sa manananggal, kapre, tiktik, aswang, tikbalang, at kung ano-ano pa. It falls under horror. Next is humor. Okay, so these are stories or fictions full of fun, fancy, and excitement meant to entertain, but can be contained in all genres. So it can be put together with other genres also. Example under here are Biag ni Lamang, Bodabil, In movies, we have Home Along the Riles. And the movies of the King of Comedy, Dolphy, and the Prince of Comedy, Vic Soto. So it falls under humor. Next one is legend. Now, these are story, sometimes of a national or folk hero. So these are stories wherein there's a hero or a heroine na merong wherein they have a special power na. So hero which has a basis in fact but also includes imaginative material. So they come up as a hero na. But in Philippine literature also, under legend, it includes mga alamat na. So, examples under here are why fish has scales, San Telmo, Adlaw, Ebat Adan, the story of origins na such as ang kwento ni Pina or the story of Pinya, the legend of Mount Mayon, the legend of Ilang Ilang, and so on and so forth na. Okay, next one is the mystery. These are fiction dealing with the solution of a crime or the unraveling of secrets. Okay, example, Chop Chop, the story of finding the Yamashita treasure na. In outside Philippine literature, we have Sherlock Holmes, Pretty Little Liars, na? So they are finding or unraveling secrets, so that falls under mystery. Next is mythology. Mythology is a story about gods or goddesses, na? So legend or traditional narrative, often based in part on historical events that reveal human behavior and natural phenomena by its symbolism, often pertaining to the action of the gods. So, example under here are Maria Makiling, the story of Tungkong Langit and Alunsina. Yan, okay. So, and of course yun, Adan at Eva, ang kwento ni Adan at Eva, or si Malakas at si Maganda. Yan. Okay, next one is poetry. So, poetry is verse and rhythmic writing with imagery that creates emotional responses. Basically, it partakes the nature of both speech and song that is nearly always rhythmical. Na? It exhibits the elements na, such as meter, rhyme, and stanza. Famous under poetry are the Harvest Song of Aligoyon, Makata ng Pag-ibig by Jose Corazon de Jesus, na, which shares heartbreaking lines. Na. This also includes haiku, no, or Japanese poetry. No. Sa haiku, having 5-7-5 syllable, no, 3 lines with 5-7-5 syllables. And tanka, which has 5 lines, no, having 5-7-5-7-7 syllables. No. In Philippine literature, we have the tanaga, which is somewhat similar to the haiku and tanka of the Japanese literature. No? So the tanaga, on the other hand, has 4 lines having 7-7-7-7 syllables per line. No? So that's Japanese poetry and Philippine poetry. Okay. Next one is realistic fiction. Now, realistic fiction is a story that can actually happen and is true to life, but it is an imagined event and characters having so imagined event and characters. So, what are famous examples under here? Na the story of Hagedorn, no, in Manila, the legend of Hagedorn. Noli Mitangere, of course, it's a realistic fiction. And El Filibusterismo, of course, na. Next is sci-fi or science fiction, story based on impact of actual, imagined, or potential science, usually set in the future or on other planets. Famous stories under here, under Philippine literature, are Bewildering Stories or Packing for Moon by Dean Francis, Expanded Horizons, Once They Were Gods by Eliza Victoria, 59 Beads, and so forth. Na? Next is short story. Of course, na short story or fiction of such brevity that it supports no subplots. Na. Okay, famous short stories are All Over the World by Vicente Rivera, At War's End by Ronnie Diaz, Big Sisters by Consors Borja, Consolacion Borge. Okay. And last one, we have Tall Tales. Now, these are humorous story with blatant exaggerations, swaggering heroes who do the impossible with nonchalance. Na? Under here, we have Story of Andres, The Life and Death of Amarsola Esperanza, Fate Healer of Talinhaga, and so forth. No? So those are examples of fiction. Again, they are based on imagination. No? Writers have written the stories based on imagination. No? Next is nonfiction. Nonfiction are informal texts. This time they are informal texts, informational text. Fiction is narrative, literary text. Nonfiction is an informational. Its purpose is to give information. No? Dealing with actual real life subject. No? Examples of nonfictions are, first off is biography. No? Biography is when a narrative of a person's life, a true story about a real person written by someone else. Now, for example, the life and works of Dr. Jose Rizal, Great Filipinos in History, an epic of Filipino greatness in war and peace by Villaruel. No? So these are biography, na story of life of a person written by a different person. No? On the other hand, we also have an autobiography. An autobiography is when someone writes his or her own life story. So he himself wrote his life story. No? Example is the autobiography of Manuel L. Quezon. No? And lately, no, it has just been released, no, the autobiography of Charo Santos Cocho. No? And many more. No? Next up is an essay. Of course, an essay is a short literary composition that reflects the author's outlook or point. So there's a topic and the writer will discuss about that particular topic. Na? So basically, an essay has three parts, the beginning, the middle, and the end. Na? Okay, next one is the narrative nonfiction. So it is a story, but it is not fiction. Therefore, not fiction. Therefore, it is based on factual events. Na? So, factual information presented in a format which tells a story. Na example, The Baguio We Know by Grace Celeste Solido. Trip to Quiapo is a story of collections of anecdotes. No? Things, when you say anecdote, it's a story about one part of life of a person. Next one is speech. Of course, speech also is a example of a non-fiction. These are public address or discourse. What is the best example under speech? Of course, we have motivational speeches by our school leaders or government leaders, such as the president's speeches, especially during nation's address. Na? So again, these are the two types of literary genres, na? Fiction and non-fiction. Okay, so for your next activity, you are asked to read the passage carefully, COVID-19, and you are given set of highlighted words. So these are the highlighted words. So you're going to choose the correct meaning of these highlighted words through this activity. So you're going to match the words with its meaning in column B. So this one will be given again in our given Google link. So I'll be sending it to you later on. For your application, this time you're going to make a stand. So, pair up and share. So, this time, you're going to have a partner in your activity. Na? So choose your partner. You're not going to see each other physically. You're going to message each other only through Messenger, no? You are asked to select a picture from the pictures that will show to you later on below. And then you're going to share ideas or insight about the picture. Before you do that one, you write first your ideas in your English notebook about that picture that you will be choosing, na? And then later on, after you have written your ideas about that photo, then the person that you have selected as a partner, you're going to chat each other personally and send what is your stand about the picture you have chosen. So this is what you're going to do. You're going to write a paragraph with at least 10 sentences. So again, 10 sentences. It's a paragraph, so you have to write first introduction, so you introduce your topic, and then what is your stand about the topic? Do you like the story? What is your idea about the story? Do you like, you don't like? What do you want to add up to the story? And so on and so forth. So what is your idea about the photo? Take note of the genre of your chosen picture. So you're not going to discuss it in class. Instead, you're going to discuss it with your partner, but both of you will be submitting your own output written in your English notebook. You don't need to draw, you're just going to write your idea. So you're going to choose your photo. You just write the title of the photo. So first one, what is this story? This one is story of Lion King, Simba and his father. What is your stand, your belief or conviction? What did you feel in watching that movie or reading about it? Next one is Peter Pan and Wendy. So this one is, again, if the character is animal, that would be what type of fiction? That is a fable. This one, story of Peter Pan and Tinker Bell, or Peter Pan, wherein they could be able to fly and they live in Neverland. So that is a tale, tall tale. Next is the story of Shrek. Okay, and his donkey. Okay, what type of literary genre is that? And this one, of course, is, who is this one? Dr. Jose Rizal. Okay. And last one is the story of, so this one will fall under nonfiction, and this one falls still under fiction. This one, who is this with a hammer? That is Thor. Okay. Alright, so here you are asked to recap all the literary genres and genres of viewing. So you are going to write down all your answers, and then you're going to highlight it using your favorite color. So any color. So write down are the literary genres that we have discussed, including the genres of viewing that we have discussed first quarter, and then we recapped also in this module. So after that, after you have listed them down, you search them in the puzzle. That's a total of 35 items. And for your evaluation, you are asked to identify what is being asked in the following sentences. Choose the correct answer of each number. So use capital letter for your answers. 10 items. So that's it. Those are your activities for your quarter 3, module 4. Again, you are to send me a photo of your outputs from your module 4. So we'll check this one again next week, and be ready for your recitation. God bless you all. Stay safe. Goodbye, everyone.